races left in the World Championship, and that'll be coming up in 3 minutes. The coverage for that as we count down to the main event. On pole position, Pol Espargaro on the Red Bull Factory Racing KTM, joined on that front row by Alex Rins on the Suzuki, in brilliant form at the moment, and Taka Nakagami as well. Row 2, Zarco, the World Championship leader, Mir and Aleix Espargaro. Really, really hot-looking row 3 as well, with Jack Miller, Miguel Oliveira and Franco Morbidelli. With Binder on row 4, of course, he's got to take a long lap penalty. Quartararo, second in the World Championship. Huge day for the Frenchman. He's in 11th. Likewise for Dovi, 12th. Row 5 features all Hondas, Bradl, Alex Marquez and Cal Crutchlow. And then it's an all-Italian row 6 with Bagnaia, the returning Valentino Rossi and Danilo Petrucci. Savadori's in to replace Bradley Smith and Aprilia. He starts from 19th. Rabat will start from 20th. This is one way of trying to dry the track up. Paper towels. I've seen it all now. Leaf blowers and paper towels. It does seem to have they do seem to be having a little bit of an issue, Matt, because we've been dry all day, and yet there's the water on the surface there just not going away into turn 1.
Yeah, I mean, it's been pretty sunny since we arrived here in Valencia this morning. There's been a bit of a breeze around as well. So if that part of the circuit was going to dry up, well, it would have dried up a long, long time ago. We've had 2 races and 3 warm-up sessions as well over that part of the circuit. So, yeah, that will be a bit of a concern. I mean, what have they got now? About 35 minutes to continue that drying operation. But, yeah, leaf blowers, paper towels. Got any hair dryers knocking around, mate?
You know me, Matt.
You always travel with your trusty hairdryer, mate. Funnily enough, that's equipment that I don't actually require on my global travels.
That's why your suitcase is lighter, Matt. OK, we've got MotoGP coverage coming up in just over a minute's time. Stand by for drama. 27 laps coming up for the Premier Class. Cannot wait for this one. 3 races left in the World Championship. It's all to be decided in the next couple of weeks. Who takes an advantage here? And will we see a 9th different winner? Coverage starting in around 45 seconds. After 11 races in 16 weeks, we're in Valencia to begin a triple header that will decide the 2020 MotoGP World Championship. 32 points split 6 riders, and today we enter the unknown with little dry track time and a grid full of tension. It's time for the main event. This is the Grand Prix of Europe. Built in 1999, we've been coming here for around 20 years now. 4-kilometre long circuit, 14 corners, 9 right-handers, 5 of them right-handers. The all-time lap record set by Jorge Lorenzo, but the best race lap, Marc Marquez here 1 year ago at 31.1. Plenty of overtaking hotspots as ever. The last chance saloon, though, is down at turn 14, and this is when Marc Marquez went through on Jack Miller at 14 here last year. Coming up in MotoGP, can Pol Espargaro become our 9th different winner of 2020? The KTM rider is on pole. Alex Rins' great form continues. The Suzuki rider is well placed to continue that recent podium run. Nakagami gets a second chance on the front row, looking to bounce back from his Teruel nightmare. And World Championship leader Juan Mir is in the middle of the second row. Could he have one hand on the title after today's race? Welcome back to Valencia. It's the Grand Prix of Europe, and now time for the MotoGP race. Build up starting now. Wonderful day here in Valencia, the best we've had since our arrival to the east coast of Spain. MotoGP has been truly remarkable in 2020 so far. The sun shines on us and on this World Championship. 32 points, covering 6 riders with 3 races to go. It has been some story in 2020 for so many reasons. It doesn't look like the drama's ended just yet, though. Joan Mir comes into this one as the World Championship leader. Here he is now, 14 points clear. Overall, he'll start from the middle of the second row. A bit of a confidence boost this morning, or maybe more than a confidence boost, as he was quickest in morning warm-up. Steve Day, Matt Burt and Simon Crafar to talk you through then this one. 2 weeks we've got to decide this World Championship, and not a bad start to the day for the World Championship leader, Matt.
Yes, and all the teams and riders, well, they're gambling. They're going into this 27-lap battle with very little dry track knowledge and information in terms of tyre choice, in terms of race setup. Who will prevail here in Valencia? Fabio Quartararo, well, he's just going to be relieved first and foremost that it is going to be what looks like a dry European Grand Prix, because in wet conditions so far this weekend, Fabio Quartararo has been found wanting and wilting. It's been a real struggle. He's got a bit of work to do from the 4th row of the grid today, Fabio Quartararo. He says he can go for it, he can take risk, nothing to lose. Not quite sure I agree with him on that one when he's second in the World Championship. This man certainly hasn't. Pol Espargaro on pole for KTM's 4th only front row start in MotoGP.
Yeah, 3 podiums in the last 7 races for Pol Espargaro, but crucially no victory, and that is something that's been plaguing away a bit on him, especially with Miguel Oliveira and Brad Binder having race wins. He wants to bow out of his KTM career with a victory, and he has said that in the next 3 races he will go all out for it. Of course, we are entering the unknown. Tyres will be crucial. You've got to feel like it's already known what front tyre KTM are going to go for, Matt.
Yeah, well, it'll be minimum medium, certainly for Pol Espargaro. He just can't use the soft. He said in Aragon 1, race the soft was nowhere. Aragon 2, raised his preferred medium, gives them the braking stability they want. He finished in a great 4th place, so do not be surprised to see Pol Espargaro going medium front. Alex Rins, still a dark horse championship contender. A great run of form recently, back-to-back podiums in both Aragon races, 45 points out of a possible 50, going for 3 podium finishes in a row for the first time in his MotoGP career. And here's a bit of breaking news actually coming into this 27-lap Valencia battle. The FIA MotoGP steward sanctioning Aleix Espargaro with a 3-place grid penalty, not respecting blue flags during the second qualifying session.
Yeah, this is during Q1, isn't it? Q2, sorry, from yesterday. He puts his arm up to apologise, but it affected Franco Morbidelli. Either way, 3-place grid penalty for Aleix. That's really, really important for, in particular, Matt, Jack Miller, who's now moved up a row from 7th to 6th.
Yeah, and we know how good that Ducati hole shot device is as well, the launch control. So Jack Miller will be hoping to get himself right into early podium contention. So, yeah, that was a costly little move, that, by Aleix Espargaro, because that's dropped him onto the 3rd row of the grid. Just getting some instructions here from Antonio Jimenez. Every single rider, as soon as they've got in their garages, they've been swamped on by Michelin engineers. They're just trying to make sure that they are making, for them, the right tyre choice. That we're discussing, of course, previous knowledge of temperature now, conditions, grip levels potentially, as Valentino Rossi comes to the Monster Energy Yamaha garage, a depleted Monster Energy Yamaha garage, unfortunately, with 5 members of the crew having to self-isolate, including team boss Mario Meregali after another COVID-19 diagnosis. Rossi set for his first race action since the French Grand Prix in Le Mans, having missed both Aragon races himself with an unfortunate coronavirus diagnosis.
Bit of hand sanitizer there as part of the protocols for Franco Morbidelli, our most recent Grand Prix race winner. Frankie is fully relaxed coming into this one. 25 points down now is all in the World Championship. He's looked cool as a cucumber all weekend here. He's looked fast in pretty much every condition as well. He was the only rider, crucially, in this morning warm-up session, Matt, to try out the hard rear tyre. So it will be fascinating to see what he opts for here in this 27-lap race.
Yeah, didn't switch. Ran that yellow-banded hard rear for the entirety of that 20-minute warm-up session. So you'd feel that Franco Morbidelli would be unlikely to try anything other than that, having done no other slick tyre action this weekend on anything but. Taka Nakagami, first Japanese rider since Makoto Tamada back in 2004, Estoril and Motegi to have back-to-back front row starts in MotoGP. He'll be hoping today's one goes slightly better than what happened a couple of weeks ago in Teruel. Fantastic pole position for the first time in MotoGP for Nakagami last time out, but his challenge lasted all of 5 corners before he crashed out on the very first lap while leading.
There's a bit of money going on this man ahead of today. Jack Miller, he's not had a lot of luck of late in MotoGP, but he's been brilliant so far here. He loves Valencia. He was on the podium in the dry last year. In the wet on Friday morning, he was fastest. In the damp, he was fastest. And qualifying didn't go quite to plan yesterday, but you know he's got the speed, Matt, and he's got 0 to lose. This is so exciting, this MotoGP race coming up. It really is. There's so many places that you need to look, and you even need to take a peek into pit lane as well, because that is where Maverick Vinales will be starting this Grand Prix from.
It's been a week to forget for Yamaha, a week to forget certainly for this man Maverick Vinales. Yeah, he had to use an extra engine, unsealed his 6 YZR in one engine. That of course is contrary to the engine limitation regulations, and it means it's a pit lane start for Maverick Vinales, who is 3rd in the MotoGP World Championship right now. You can see there, that's 2020 engine allocation for Maverick Vinales, and crucially, because he's had to take that 6 motor, it's a pit lane start, and he was very pessimistic about his prospects of a fight through to the top 10 today. He feels like today potentially is the day where the MotoGP World Championship slips through his grasp, and he said yesterday what a chance it was this year, particularly with the absence of the injured Marc Marquez, for him to wrestle control of this championship. It's not over by any stretch of the imagination yet, but Vinales from the pit lane, not very optimistic.
Don't be worried by these scenes of Johann Zarco taking a few deep breaths. This is a usual sight for Zarco as he gets himself psyched up for the race. There are 4 riders on the front 2 rows that are yet to win a race in 2020. Johann Zarco is one of them, and he could be a real dark horse. He loves Valencia. He starts his Grand Prix from 4th. And Matt, this man, Alex Rins, in the form of his life. 3rd in Catalonia, arguably should have been on the podium in Le Mans until the crash. The winner of Aragon, 2nd the week after. He's got to have probably a decent run on the podium to catch his teammate overall, but Alex Rins looking supreme, and he sorted his qualifying out.
Yeah, the 2 Suzuki men, they look like big pre-race favourites going into this battle, purely because we know in a race situation where nobody has got a clue, not an idea about how the tyres will perform in the second half of the race. If there is one motorcycle in the world you want to be riding where there's concerns about grip levels and tyre endurance, it's the Suzuki GSX-RR. A wave from Cal Crutchlow and a gritting of the teeth exercise coming up yet again for Cal Crutchlow. He's been through the mill with injuries throughout this season. He's torn a ligament in the right shoulder now to add to his injury woes, recovering from that carpal tunnel syndrome and then the left scaphoid fracture in Jerez. Cal Crutchlow, though, we know when his back's against the wall, he'll come out swinging, and don't rule Cal out because he can do some damage from the 5th row.
Only 4 top 5s this season for Fabio Quartararo as he exits pit lane. That has got to improve, and he needs to add to it here today, the 21-year-old. Here is Miguel Oliveira, another dark horse on the grid. 8th on the grid he will be. The race winner, of course, in Styria, and he's had good speed here all weekend, a circuit that he loves. The last 2 times he's been here, he's been on the top step. And what lies ahead, Matt, for this man, Andrea Dovizioso? He's been clinging on to championship contention now for weeks and weeks and weeks. Is there anything special in the tank here for Dovi on Sunday?
The problem is you've got no idea right now which Ducati and which Andrea Dovizioso is going to turn up. Some circuits the bike works well depending on who's on top of that. Desmond Sadici, Andrea Dovizioso right now said it's quite simple. I don't have the speed, I don't have the confidence to be fighting for the World Championship. Will today be a big nail in the coffin of his championship aspirations? For me, it could be between the two Suzukis, particularly with Morbidelli and Quartararo having to come from so far back. The Yamaha, not a great motorcycle to be using for overtakes. It's hard to overtake around this tight 4-kilometre Ricardo Tormo circuit here in Valencia, and this is going to be absolutely crucial. Tyre choice, as always, is vital, but normally it's quite crystal clear and concrete what you're going to pick. Today, this is a proper gamble because they've only really had one full dry session this weekend. That was this morning's 20-minute warm-up to base their judgment on. So it's going to be fascinating to see which tyre selections the men have gone for in this Grand Prix.
There'll be a lot of relief that these wet tyres are not needed here today as well, because the forecast sprung a surprise on us yesterday. Here's the Dr. Valentino Rossi then, one of the last to exit the garage. He's a day down on everyone else, of course, after missing on Friday. Garrett Gerloff taking his place to great effect. He had a good day. What can Rossi do from 17th on the grid? Of course, one podium to his name. Remarkably, Valentino Rossi's actually had 4 top 5s himself. He's got as many top 5s this year as Fabio Quartararo. Of course, he missed 2 races. Who knows where he would have been in Aragon. And here comes Pol Espargaro and his brother Aleix. Could this be the day for Pol that he's been dreaming of and longing for with KTM?
At the moment, there's only a couple of deviations in terms of rear tyre choice. As we expected, this is coming to the grid. This could change, of course. Franco Morbidelli is intending to ride that hard rear tyre. He'd made a late change, of course, ahead of Teruel, didn't he, on the grid? There's only one rider on the soft rear, and that's Lorenzo Savadori.
Hard front you can see there on Pol Espargaro's KTM. That's not a big surprise, although he didn't run it here this morning.
There's been a lot of guys, Steve, late on that have opted to go from the medium front to the hard front. You just wonder whether that increased temperature this afternoon is making a little bit of a difference, because Pol Espargaro, one of several riders in this race that has now decided to at least come to the grid with the yellow banded hard front tyre.
Right, let's go down to Simon Crafar on the grid. It's tense here ahead of this one. 3 races to go in the World Championship and entering the unknown. Si, what have you got for us?
I just wanted to tell you, I'm waiting, hoping to have a word with Jack Miller, and he got off straight off the bike as soon as he turned up to the grid, walked over, found Franco Incini, who's, his job to make sure the circuit's all good, and or one of them, and he looked to be telling Franco that there's some problem on a corner somewhere, so meaning something on the track. So I'll find out all I can and get back to you.
Thanks for that, Simon. It's got to be turn 1. Now, on Friday, Jack said that as the range dried, that he had big problems with it. And you can see there, Franco Incino actually is just talking to somebody through his headset. And turn 1 we could see before the start of this Grand Prix as we look at the virtual fan wall. Thank you for your continued support. Hopefully we can have you back in the amazing grandstands here at Valencia. It does feel mighty odd not to see fans in this brilliant bowl here in Valencia. But turn 1 is damp, Matt, and that will be exactly, I'm sure, what Jack Miller's talking about. Moto 3 and Moto 2 have dealt with it okay, but this is MotoGP. We're talking about a lot different power coming into turn 1. This is the grid.
Pol Espargaro on pole position for the second time on the front row with Alex Rins and Taka Nakagami. Zarco, Mir and Miller is now your second row after the 3-place grid penalty for Aleix Espargaro for not observing the blue flags in Q2. That's dropped Aleix Espargaro back to 9th. Up 1 place go Miller, Oliveira and Morbidelli. Binder's got a long lap penalty coming his way. He's on row 4 ahead of Fabio Quartararo and Andrea Dovizioso. 2 of the main men in the championship this year then go from that 4th row. Bradle, Alex Marquez and Cal Crutchlow are on an all Honda row 5. Pecco Bagnaia, Valentino Rossi and Danilo Petrucci on an all Italian row 6. And then Lorenzo Savadori in for Bradley Smith. And Tito Rabat, who was confirmed yesterday, has lost his Sponsorama Racing Ducati ride next year. And Maverick Vinales on that graphic, of course, but he will have to start this 27-lap race from the pit lane.
Joan Mir says he doesn't feel any pressure coming into this one, but everyone feels pressure on the grid just before the start of a MotoGP race. Here's Aleix Espargaro. He'll now start from 9th thanks to that penalty. Anything in the top 10 would be solid for Aleix here today, and maybe because we are entering the unknown, he fancies something a bit better than that in this peculiar 2020 season. You wouldn't put it past, would you, an Aprilia being somewhere near the top 3 on a day like today. And here is the cool and calm, fabulous Franco.
Miguel Oliveira, as Steve just mentioned, a lot of people backing this man for a podium challenge today because he's got such a great record here in Moto 2, winner in 2017 and 2018. He's been fast in all conditions so far this weekend as well. Let's pop back down onto the grid and speak to Simon Crafar again. Simon.
Yeah, I was about to get a word with Jack, and then he went, sorry buddy, I've got to go to the toilet, so he's run off. Then Lorenzo Salvadori, who I also wanted to talk to, he's ran off to the toilet, but luckily David Abrevio's here. And David, your bike's both looking, you know, really strong for this race. I want to know what's going through your mind right now about tyre choices and how do your riders feel?
Yeah, no, I mean, this morning the warm-up, they both felt quite comfortable with the bike, so happy with the setting, so just made some small adjustment, checking the data, but nothing really important. About tyre, I think we go like almost everybody with the rear medium tire, which seems to be, I mean, good in terms of performance also, no? You know, because soft and medium, it looks like they give a different, they have a different characteristics. So depends what you're looking for, you know, in terms of grip, traction, or edge, grip on the edge, or so we made this choice, and so it's the same for everybody. So probably it's a safe way, but we did it because we think it's the best. And yeah, the rider seems to be relaxed, quiet, and won a race. And let's see. I think we can be competitive, and let's see how the race develops.
I think you can be competitive too, David. I hope to see you in Parc Ferme.
I hope so. I hope so too.
Yeah, thank you very much to Davide Brivio. Good luck to the Suzuki guys today. Here's Brad Binder then. We just saw there the helicopter shots of the penalty loop. Brad Binder has got to take that in this race due to irresponsible riding after clattering into Jack Miller 2 weeks ago. Binder starts from 10th on the grid.
Yeah, on that 4th row with a couple of big World Championship contenders, Fabio Quartararo and Andrea Dovizioso. Let's pop back down to Simon Crafar on the grid because he's finally caught up with the Aussie Jack Miller. Simon.
I have. Jack, you awesome podium here last year. You've looked strong in every session. You must feel strong right now.
Yeah, I mean, feeling okay. It's the hottest it's been all weekend. As you know, we haven't really had any full white dry riding, but I feel comfortable. I think we're going to go into the darkness and test this hard front in the race and see what we can do. Just try to not get too carried away on the first couple of laps with it. Just let it bed itself in, and yeah, hopefully we can be there towards the end of the race.
Just a quick question. Did you see something on track or some problem with the track, talking to Franco?
I was just on the exit of turn 5 on the inside, sort of on our line more than the other classes, but it was full of rocks, so just get the marshals out there to sweep it off. It was just, I guess, from someone crashing. There was a few riders going down in a couple of the classes, so yeah, just tidy up a bit.
Thank you, Jack, and best of luck.
Thanks, Simon.
Okay, so yeah, there was actually some gravel down at turn 5. Saw that in the Moto2 race, so Jack just making sure the brooms are coming out there. Sounding confident. Interesting, he's going for the hard front, and the tactics he's going for, very unlike Jack Miller.
Yeah, what, so a little bit cautious in the first 2 laps. Yeah, that's very unlike Jack Miller. This is fascinating because there are so many riders that are going to start this Grand Prix of Europe on tyres that they've never done a single lap on so far this weekend. Just want to have a quick look down at some of the provisional tyre list. Andrea Dovizioso's gone hard front, so has Johan Zarco, so has Petrucci, likewise Franco Morbidelli, Brad Binder, Aleix Espargaro, Jack Miller, Pol Espargaro, Pecco Bagnaia and Miguel Oliveira. They all came to the grid with the hard front tyre, so fascinating this, how it's going to pan out with guys entering this race on rubber that they've not even cut a single lap on so far this weekend.
Simon, you have something else for us down on the grid?
Yes, Lorenzo Salvadori. Lorenzo, I wanted to come speak to you and say a big welcome. And what's it like to be on the MotoGP grid?
Thank you very much. Of course, it's not the most simple weekend because we never try in the same condition every session. This is a new condition for me. I don't know what to expect for the race. I don't know honestly nothing because I never do a long stint. But we try to improve lap for lap. And stay strong. I don't know. I try to push at the maximum.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Yes, good luck to Lorenzo Savadori. Thanks for that, Simon, the Aprilia rider, starting his first MotoGP race from 19th on the grid. Frantic work going on there on Dovi's bike. We just saw Stefan Bradl, 13th on the grid. Here is his Repsol Honda teammate, Alex Marquez. He'll start from 14th. Wasn't too bad at all this morning.
Yeah, not particularly optimistic about launching another charge through for a podium fight from a lowly grid position like he was in both Aragon races, but who knows, Alex Marquez, when the visor comes down, he's got a pretty decent record here in Valencia as well. And Taka Nakagami, is today the day where Joan Mir finally wins a MotoGP race, and is today the day where Taka Nakagami will find his way to a podium, potentially even a top step. Maverick Vinales then on the grid right now, at the back of it, on the Monster Energy Yamaha MotoGP M1, but he will of course have to filter into pit lane and make that start from the pit lane. We'll pop back down to the grid right now. There's a lot of people think Miguel Oliveira's got a real good chance of fighting for the podium this afternoon. And what are the thoughts of team boss Hervé Poncharal? We can find out because he's with Simon right now.
Same thinking, Matt. Hervé, Miguel's looked really strong all weekend. I'm curious about the KTMs after warm-up, how you felt, tyre choice, and your thoughts on Miguel's possibilities today.
I think not only KTM, I think everybody was a bit, in an unknown situation this morning because it was the really first time on a dry track. We could see that everybody was, I think, on a too soft compound. So I can tell you that a lot of riders will start on hard front and without having tested it at all. The 3 KTM should be on the hard front. So clearly the feeling was quite good, but we think, in between warm-up debrief and now there was quite a few things that we changed, and the main one is the tires. So, if he can get a good feeling with that front, I think we're on course for a quite good result, I would say. I don't want to say anything, but we've been strong all weekend long and he feels good, so it's going to be interesting to see how the race is developing because there will be quite a few different options.
Thank you, Hervé.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Simon. Thanks to Hervé Poncharal. This is how it looks then from the helicopter. The Joan Mir, the World Championship leader, second row, 5th on the grid. Quartararo, second in the World Championship, 11th. And here is Fabio with his good friend Tom, just trying to keep himself cool and calm. Seeing the funny side there as well. Some tyres being run over frantically by Suzuki. Is there going to be a last-minute change for them?
Interesting, that wasn't there? A couple of mechanics with Suzuki Blue making quite a late dash towards the grid. Is there going to be a real late change? Franco Morbidelli did change late on. He went from the soft to the medium rear tyre.
Yeah, there is a change.
And that was absolutely vital. That's what really helped Franco Morbidelli win.
Alex Rins then, it looks like, going to make a late change on the grid. Second on the grid for him, of course, after that brilliant second place last time out. He's in championship contention. Simon?
Yeah, just to let you know, I've just been told by one of the Michelin guys that 13 riders have opted for that hard front that I think nobody's run. And majority are on the medium rear.
Thank you very much for that. Yes, well, whatever Alex Rins opted for, he's decided to change now. Had he originally gone for a medium, Matt, and now switching for the hard based on what other riders have done?
Was that already a planned change? I mean, this is a test of nerve, not just for the riders, but for their Michelin engineers, for the crew chiefs as well. These are real big decisions, technical-wise, that could be the difference between a top result, a podium, or not even fighting in the top 6.
Well, it's great for us.
Yeah, fantastic for the neutral, yeah.
The Grand Prix of Europe, 27 laps coming up, and we've got no idea who's going to win this one. Just as we haven't really throughout this incredible 2020 season. 8 different winners in 11 races. Is this man going to become the 9th different winner? One thing you are guaranteed of in this unpredictable season is that Pol Espargaro will be leaving it all out there.
Yeah, he said yesterday, I mean, he's gone into, it's a cliche, but he's in win it or bin it mode. He's not thinking about the championship, doesn't care about trying to get in the top 6 in the standings. He is craving, he's desperate to break that victory duck here today. And Pol Espargaro, well, you know he's going to take some massive, massive risks.
Let's pop down onto the grid and see what Ruben Chaus makes of the chances of Johan Zarco today. He's starting from 4th on the grid.
Yeah, exactly. 4th on the grid. How do you think Johan's feeling right now?
Well, I think the conditions are much better for us, for Ducati, as what happened in Aragon. On the right corners, yeah, we've got few right corners that when the tires really cold, we suffer a lot because the transfer of those weights are less natural. Though hopefully now behind the draft and in a good pace situation, we can really move forward and do something similar as what we did in Aragon. We expect to be in the top 6 as usual, and already what we're doing is incredible. So I'm really pleased with what is going to be the race so far. But well, 3 races to go. Johan won and is really hungry to look or touch a podium again, and let's see if this today.
Just can you tell us tyre choice or not? Because we know there's been a lot of changes on the grid.
Yeah, normally it was M if it was not about last decision, but
medium front and rear.
Yeah, normally was that.
Thank you.
Yes, very much, Stent.
Thanks to Ruben Chaus, and also thanks to Simon Crafar. Struggling to recall a time where we've had so many riders that are going to start a Grand Prix on tyres that they've just not tested at any stage during the course of the weekend. It's a real unique scenario today.
If Franco Morbidelli is able to fight his way through, he's going hard front, hard rear, Franco Morbidelli. I mean, we know he's had a good long look at the hard rear.
And how crucial was that 20 minutes looking at that hard rear tyre this morning going to be, Steve? Although when we came to the grid, he was a big left fielder. He was the only man on the grid initially that had the hard rear tyre on. Everybody else on a medium, apart from Lorenzo Savadori, who had the soft.
And that isn't a massive surprise for Joan Mir. Medium has been his preferred choice throughout this 2020 season. Those are the tyres that Joan Mir tends to be strong on at the end of races.
Yep. It's almost like hedging his bets a little bit, isn't he? He's not in a position to start taking wild gambles in terms of tyre choices. Stick with what you know. Alex Rins also, he's gone medium. Is there a little bit of cloud emerging overhead, which is just perhaps dropping the temperature, where they perhaps feel like they're going to need slightly softer tyres?
I wonder how Davide Brivio is feeling at the moment. It has been a brilliant year for the Suzuki team so far.
Well, it's out of his hands now, isn't it? He'd have had all the meetings, all the debriefs, all the chats with Joan Mir and Alex Rins, and now it's over to his 2 men. He's put his trust in them to win Suzuki's first MotoGP World Championship for 20 years, and they're just 3 races away from accomplishing that coveted goal.
Medium for Fabio Quartararo as well. 9th, 18th and 8th, his last 3 results. He's got to turn that around today if he's going to stay in touch in this World Championship. He is 14 points down on Joan Mir, and that will be his focus today. Above all else, finish ahead of number 36 for Fabio Quartararo. We are 5 minutes away from the warm-up lap here. Sorry, 3 minutes from the warm-up lap, 5 minutes from the race start. Even better.
You're going to have to be careful on that hard front tyre with no experience on it. It'll take 2 or 3 laps probably to come in these cool conditions. So it's all about who's willing to take the early risk. Pol Espargaro, you know that he's just going to get hammered down, throttle wide open, pinned from the start. He feels like he can make the break. He said, my mission is to test the Suzuki, see what they've got, see how much risk they're willing to take to try and go with me.
And also we should just remember, Sector 1 here can be treacherous on an opening lap of a race. It's narrow through turn 1, it's even tighter through turn 2, 3, 4. Lots can happen in the opening few corners here in Valencia.
Well, the last time he qualified on pole in Styria, he probably felt like, had the cards fallen his way, we'd already be talking about Pol Espargaro as a MotoGP race winner. That's not the case. Will today be his day?
Coming into this weekend, perhaps you'd say that he did have something to lose, Maverick Viñales. Now, starting from pit lane, very